Hello, I'm Gareth.
And I'm Shane, and welcome to Building Business Resilience.
This is a podcast from Sanctuary Financial Planning, which helps growth business owners and social media influencers achieve financial independence.
We're two passionate financial planners on a mission to seek out new ideas, tips and tricks to help you take control of your finances and run better businesses.
We delve into the true goals and aspirations of our guests in order to provide you with some real value and positivity.
Nothing outrageous, clear, simple, solid financial solutions. So let's move on to our guest.
Welcome back to the Building Business Resilience Show. I know it's been longer than we thought, but we're back and we have a great lineup coming. It's great for us to get back to it and back into speaking to business owners and sports people, getting under the skin of what makes them tick, talking all things resilience, with a few funny stories thrown in for good measure. So here we go with the next episode. In today's episode, we're going to be talking to Ijan Davies Emrus. Ijan is the founder of Ocean Hairdressing and has been in the profession for a long time, but still has a passion as if he was in the early years of his career. There's some great insights and takeaways from this one. He's a big believer in having mentors and mentoring others. Listen carefully, there's some real gems here for any business owners out there, new or old. So without further ado, let's get started.
Ijan, how are you?
Very good, Gareth. Very good indeed.
Good.
Thanks for asking me to come on.
Oh,
Good afternoon.
You're welcome. How's things been? I guess you're shut at the minute, aren't you? With the Welsh lockdown?
Yeah, Welsh lockdown, another 2 weeks. It is what it is. So, yeah, it's, I think it was inevitable, if I'm honest.
It is what it is very polite.
Yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, I think I've been using that ever since I've seen the film The Irishman, where I was like, it is what it is. Yeah, well, it is what it is. Let's not change it.
Yeah, it is though, and it's kind of just suck it up, and we just got to kind of, not a lot we can do about it, is there? But I do think, interestingly, I think England's going to head the same way at some point.
I just can't believe that they haven't. I mean, it's such a juggling act for them. I mean, it's such a big place anyway. Yeah. There's so many different regions, north, south, Midlands, and there's so many places now starting to show growth in COVID that they're going to have to shut it down sooner or later. Just can't see it being this regional approach. It's just not going to work.
No, she's like, I think Nottingham went, didn't they, yesterday? But it's like, what's it in Ireland, Shane, isn't it?
6 weeks in Northern Ireland. 6 weeks.
6 weeks, 1st of December. And then I think they have said they're going down to level 3, which is basically most things are closed anyway. So you can say goodbye to Christmas as well.
Yeah, I've got friends who've got salons in Ireland. I've got about 4 friends who've got good salons there. Mm. And, how they've managed it is fantastic, but it's a part of the process. Like, I mean, I'm with some really good people, luckily, and we've all shared a lot of good information. Yeah. And I think that's been key to us being in pretty good, we're in good shape at the moment, to be honest. So
that's good.
We're very lucky, so.
Yeah, no, that's good. So I guess, this go to you then. Founder, artistic director, Ocean Hairdressing.
Yeah, that's me.
tell us
very grandiose.
I got it off the website.
Did you?
Artistic director. I was like, I like that.
Yeah. So I've had the salon for since 98. So that's 22 years. But I was in another business for 3 years before that. But I was a partner in a business, learned loads then. That's one of my biggest learning curves. But I've been hairdressing this is my 42nd year.
Really?
It's like ridiculous. Wow. Yeah, and it just doesn't feel that way at all. So, I'm from Merthyr, which is a proper valley town, isn't it? And, I was like a kid I had no interest in school whatsoever. So, I could be a road sweeper or a hairdresser. And so, that's how I became. The actual truth is that I was so rubbish as a kid, literally like rubbish at school, academically, and I don't think I was stupid. I just was disinterested, just didn't want to be there. And in the 80s, the biggest thing in the valleys was snooker. So I was playing snooker, right? So I learned snooker, and then by when I was 14, about 78, I was playing for a local workingmen's club team at 14. I was quite good. I was all right. I could knew my way around the table. I could pot a ball from anywhere. My safety was always a bit suspect. I wanted to attack everything. And the guy who took me under his wing in the team was a bloody hairdresser. And he was this guy with this big mane of hair. He drove a Motor Guzzi motorcycle. He had a big Merc, soft top Merc. And, I just thought this guy he was so loud and brash. I was just mesmerized by him. And then coming to summer holidays, unbeknown to me, he's my mum's hairdresser. And they colluded together. And he said to me one evening, what are you doing in the summer holidays? And I said, nothing planned, hanging out with my friends. And he said, come and work for me. And I said, I didn't know how to say no. So I said, yeah, okay, cool. I'll do that. Then I went home, said to my mum, look, that guy, I'm sure he's gay. Not there's a big thing about gay, but at the time it was like, oh my God, I was like 14, 15, or 15 at the time. I don't want to be around this guy. He's like, he's all flouncy and everything. And I said, look, I've told him yes, ma'am, but you're going to have to tell him that I'm not going to go, obviously. My mum said, yeah, cool, that's absolutely fine. You don't have to go, but you have to tell him yourself. The bitch. She knew I didn't have the balls to do it. So I duly turned up on the allotted day, and I started as a shampoo boy back in 1979. And that was my, and I got stuck in it. I couldn't get out of it because I didn't have the bottle to get out of it. And I ended up staying, and it took about probably 18 months before I thought, okay, I started to understand what it was about. And then I thought, okay, I quite like this. And then by about 17, there's women. Yes. It all changed then. Became very interesting.
The other two things I picked up on that, when you said about 42nd year, surely we're all writing this year off. So you won't be doing your 42nd year in this that industry till next year.
I know. It's ridiculous, right? Yeah.
And I don't know much about snooker, but all I was told before, this might be very confrontational. I thought all the Welsh people knew how to play safety because the Welsh snooker players were all the boring ones.
True. Terry Griffiths, he was really boring. Doug Mountjoy, he was really boring. Yeah, but you had Ray Reardon. He's the daddy of them all, Ray Reardon.
Mark Williams, what was his style?
Who's that? Mark Williams was quite a good attacking player. Latterly, he became a safety player. But I wasn't crap at safety. They found me out pretty early on. This is just frustrating me. Stick me at the end of the table, and in the end, I'd go for something stupid and give away points.
So how long do you stay at the salon in Merthyr then? 5
years I was there.
Yeah.
And then he wouldn't give me a pay rise. I wanted a $5 extra a week, and he said no. So I left. I left and I said, that's it, I'm throwing my time out of the pram. He was a guy, I'm friends with him now, and we are great friends. He's such a character, isn't he? He hasn't changed at all. I have so much respect for him as a person. He's a great guy. Still has his business there as well.
I can see he's still running, is he?
Yeah, still running. And this guy was ahead of his time when I started in 1980. The salon had 36 styling units. It was huge. He had that was on the ground floor. Middle floor, he had beauty therapy and coffee shop. And on the top floor, we had a gymnasium, sauna, and some beds, and our own laundry. Wow. It was like way ahead of its time. Like people aren't doing that now, like incredible. Great guy. Learned loads. I always say about him, I learned everything about life from him, but nothing about business or nothing about hairdressing. It was like, he was just, this guy's a legend. In my books, nothing was too hot or too heavy for him to handle. He was right in there. Great guy. Wow. And still is a good guy.
So what age were you in when you jumped there after 5 years?
I went from there, I went to London. I'd done a few courses in London, and then I went to London, and I spent 9 months there, sassoons in London, as what they call a vardering thing. And I was doing really well there. And that's where I learned what hairdressing is about, and that's why I learned about the craft of it and how to actually bloody cut hair, because nobody taught me at that point. I was making it up as I went along, and that's why I found out all the foundations were, which was fantastic. But I was homesick. I was a home bird. It was soulless living there. It was really hard. And then 9 months I came home. Once I finished that, I came home and I got a job in Cardiff with a guy who I met in London. He came to do a course in Sassoons. He used to do a refresher every year, and he owned a salon in Cardiff. And I went straight to him, and I got a job straight away with him. I was there for 5 years as well.
Wow.
So, I think I've worked in 3-4 salons in the 42 years, and including my own. So I've always stuck it somewhere, always put the shift in, I think I was always key. But it was great times. I mean, coming through the 80s and 90s, it was like brilliant, just amazing times. But yeah, go on.
You're going on another 5 years. Then when did you go out on your own then at some stage, or?
So I was offered to go into partnership with the third salon. That was, bear in mind, by the second salon, I built up a clientele which was massive in Cardiff. So I had a fantastic boss there. I still see him from time to time. David Lloyd, actually, in Cardiff. Great guy, John. He's a really quiet man, but very thoughtful and had a great way about business. And at that time, and I was probably about 20, up till I was about 25, I worked there, right? I was earning more money than I've ever earned in my life for that. I still think it was incredible I was earning. I had my own car parking space, which he paid for, which was underneath the Westgate Street buildings. Wow. I had that for about the last 2 years of my career there. I had this car parking space, plus a company car. I had a Peugeot 205 GTI, which was the car of the day at the time, with a big sliding panoramic sunroof. That was massive, So I was so busy there. And I think all of that business I did then set me up ready for when I went into business myself. The clientele I built there, the people who followed me, the loyalty I learned there. And I was allowed, he gave me a lot of responsibility in that salon. And he kind of mentored me before the word mentor was ever being used. He mentored me really about running a salon, running a team. And, he came down on me hard when I got things wrong, but explained why, but wouldn't take any excuses. Just a really good guy. And then I went to another salon where they offered me a partnership, but just wasn't right. It was out of town. I didn't want to be out of town. And then I went back into town and I worked at another salon with, again, a guy who's down the bay, Ken Picton. And Ken and I became partners for 3 years. And then my fiance at the time, who latterly became my wife, my first wife, we worked together. And he and her had a massive, massive row. She walked out. I wouldn't go back. He wouldn't have her back. I'm a partner. I thought, I'm marrying this girl in 6 months and I'm in the middle of this thing. And I had to leave. I had to leave. She's about to be my wife. I couldn't possibly go home, and so we left, and that's when we started Ocean. I opened Ocean in 98. And that's when it all changed. And like the biggest learning curve was the first 2 or 3 years, really. Then from that,
did you learn how to be a businessman rather than, because you learned how to, as you say, about hair, but did you learn on the job or learn from all of those other people about running the businesses?
No, I actually I learned something from everybody, really did. Yeah. But in the hairdressing industry at the time, there was a coaching company called 365. They were synonymous with a lot of the big players at the time, and you could sign up to them for like a monthly fee, and you went on these business modules, and they taught you. And as soon as we opened our salon, I signed up to that, and then I went on these. I was member of 365 for about 4 years, 3 to 4 years, and you go through different. You go through this, what they call business builders. There's 9 business builder modules, and then you go on to this premium part, which is rehash really, but it's just refining what you did. But that gave me the principles of what I needed to do. Yeah. And I used that as a template then, and then just evolved it over, the 25 years I've been, about 22 years I've been in my own business. I just evolved that. But it was all about kind of creating a delight and a pleasure for the customer, and the customer having the best experience possible. It wasn't about the haircut. It's never been about the haircut. People, like when people talk to me now, and I think I'm the most expensive hairdresser in Cardiff. I think. I charge £98 a haircut, which is a lot for a lady. Only 60 quid for guys, but 98 for ladies. But people say, "Oh, how dare you?"
Garrett's are about £4.
I used to have my hair cut there before.
Yeah, used to is the term there, right? But I think that we had. They ask you, how can you be so cheeky to charge that much money? And it's not cheeky. It's actually a business thing. Is that I look at the figures and the numbers attached to it, and the utilization of the business. It's like a hotel. So I think of a hotel like Vegas. If you go to Vegas, the reason they keep on building these big hotels with like 1,500, 2,000, 3,000 rooms, 5,000 suites, whatever, is that they know throughout the year that hotel will pretty much be fully booked most of the year, or 80% utilized. So as big as they build them, they fill them. And so they can keep their prices reasonably high, or they know what the break-evens are, they know what they need to do, they know what the demographic is, the people who buy the standard rooms, the people who have the executive rooms, then you have the big suites and have the high rollers, and how they look at those. And we have the same with us, because I have stylists that I can accommodate clients who only want to pay £35 for a haircut. I have stylists in the middle of 40, people at 60, people at 90. And I'm looking for the whole demographic. So you're looking at servicing everybody, but give them all the service. You still have the same experience. The way you would go to Vegas, you still go share the same casino. You still get the same waitresses. You still, you get maybe a few extra add-ons. But if you utilize that much, you can make it make the buildings big. And I'm utilized all my appointments, 80% of them. Last year was 92% of my appointments were sold. So I'm at the point where I need to put my prices up again, but I'm really comfortable. Actually, I'm uncomfortable putting them up. I'm comfortable where I am. Yeah. And I just think, my clients have been with me for years and years, and I don't want to be seen to be taking the piss, So, and I'm happy with that. Being expensive in Cardiff, I think I've got to the ceiling, which I'm, my backside does this a bit now. When I think talk about money, he goes, oh, hang on.
I like that part. Sorry, G, go on.
Yeah, I think having been there, not of recent times, but the one thing.
No shit.
No shit. Yeah. But the service is something you do notice from the time you walk in through the door.
Yeah.
It's even down to the drinks you serve and just the way you kind of are. It is that experience. Now you've kind of said that, kind of how you do it. Yeah. It's that whole customer experience.
Yeah. That's, it's about kind of giving, like I said, creating a delight or a real pleasure for the customer, so that they feel, at the end of the day, there's a rule that they say that a price is only ever a problem. It'll question about if people are bored by something or they just don't receive a service.
Yeah.
You could go to a fantastic restaurant. Say, a steak is a steak is a steak, right? You can go to Mill & Carter, or you could go to James Submarine, one of the best. So then it's Mill & Carter is great. The service is good, but you expect if you're paying 25 quid for it. But if you go to I don't know, James Submarine or something, and you're paying 50 quid for the same steak, you want that service to be amazing. And there's only a problem with that price if the service doesn't live up. The steak will always be okay, generally, but is the service worth it, or is the ambience, all the added bits worth it, And I think that's I remember skiing in France and going with the boys. We stumbled upon this restaurant, right? 5 of us. And Valerie, it was called. This looks quite nice. Go in here. Can we get a table for lunch? And they said, how many 5 you? Yeah, 5. Oh, yes, we have a table for 5. Went in and they said, you've got to take your boots off. We took our boots off. And they gave us slippers. And then they came up with a box and they said, can you put your gloves in this box with your hat? We all had their individual boxes and they put them in this, like a pigeonhole thing,
Yeah.
And there's your number with their little brass number. Come back, give that, and the guy will bring it to you. We went in, we had this lunch. It was fantastic. The food is amazing. The service is incredible. When the bill came, I think it cost us about 120 quid a head. We were like, whoa, this is lunch. right? At a ski resort. It was in Val d'Isère, actually. And we'd skied over from the cheap resort, the Teen, into Val d'Isère. What we were doing there, I don't know. But when not one of us complained about, we just said, that was amazing. And like at the end, you give this brass number to this guy. He came, he brought you boots, he brought you, put it all down there. Your boots have been heated. They'd heated your boots for you. It was like, man, this is amazing. Should we come back tomorrow? That's who it was like, really. It was, and the money wasn't the issue, but if you'd gone in there and it was crap and the food was out and it was that much price, they didn't have all those added extras. What we always talked about afterwards, we never talked about the food. The food's really good. But my God, the service, the way they treated us, what they did, all of that was what we talked about. And I think those are the things that people talk about. And I think that's where pricing is you have to be really clever with your pricing.
It's interesting with that because, as you say, everyone does things for the experience. Money doesn't make you happy. It's the experiences that you have in life with that. And it's interesting. You mentioned about the food, but is there any difference in going to a 1-star hotel and a 5-star hotel? Well, there is. There's probably 6 times the cost. But you go to the 5-star hotel when it's a special night or something like that because you want the experience. They're both the same bloody thing. A square room with a toilet and a bed. They're no different. You might get extra coffees or better coffees, but you're paying for the experience. Yeah. And as long as people put that experience correctly, then they know what they're getting. And as long as the person delivers on that experience, then as you said, it's not an issue whatsoever. One thing I picked up on earlier is you mentioned when you were saying about you paid the 365 and then you evolved. Do you think you need to evolve, or how have you adapted the business now in the last, what are we into now, last 8 months or 7 months since this crap has been going on? Yeah. How have you adapted with that?
It's really funny, actually, Shane, that you say that, because this morning I was on a call with my supplier. I've got a really good relationship with him. I've known him for 10 years. And he was saying that, oh, God, everybody's out there moaning, that lockdown stopped, prior to us being locked down a second time, saying that we had this local Cardiff lockdown, if you remember. Yeah. And people couldn't come out of the area and all this. And they said, they were saying that they had too many spaces in their books because people couldn't make it out of the area. And I said, it's bloody excuses. You might have 4 or 5 clients who can't make it out of the area, or, it's not going to decimate your business.
Yeah.
And they're looking for excuses. And I'm being really brutal about it. And I was brutal with him about it. I said, they just make excuses for something I've been talking to a lot to the people. I've got a few salons who I mentor, and they're all doing fine. Like me, they're doing okay. It's a pain in the ass, but we've got our systems in place, and we've been working on the systems for 5-6 years, to really hone it down. And without having those systems in place, like we would be in the shit. We would have, I'd probably be losing the business. I can tell you 4 close friends of mine have lost their businesses in lockdown. And they were the 4 people who were always coming to me saying, how'd you do this? And how'd you do that? And I say, well, keep your eye on this. Look at this particular figure. Look at this and just monitor these 4 things. And if you do that consistently and you check it daily and you feed it back to your team and you tell them what you want, you're going to get the results. And they go, oh, yeah, but I do that. They didn't, and they weren't doing it consistently. They weren't doing it religiously. They weren't doing it, the systems weren't in place. And it's the same people now who are bleating about the second lockdown who are having the same thing. And our systems are they are pretty refined, but we are growing them still. And we're always looking for an edge, and we're always looking to do something different. But they make sure I maximize my results for the salon, but I also maximize the results for the team. So the team are getting the biggest payoffs, and so is the salon. But the team need that first. I'm always going to be last in that pecking order. That, I run my team not as a forefront, follow me. I lead from behind. There it is. You go out and do it. I'm going to direct you how to do it, and I'm going to take my hands off, but I'm keeping my eyes on. And I'll watch what they're doing, and I'll kind of refine them that way. Because sometimes if I'm leading the charge, I'll leave them behind. Yeah. And I've lost somebody. Oh, God, I'm not keeping count. But this way, I lead from behind, and I can strategize that way. And I think that's really important. I know what my goal is, or my various goals are, and then we set down steps and achievable ways to get there, small achievable increments to make it work. And then always painting the big picture. That's my job. And then you're evolving your own big picture as you talk about it.
Yeah.
You never get there. The big picture always changes to this week, and then next month is this, and then that's how I would always approach it.
But the big picture is never a picture that has to be achievable. The big picture is the end goal of utopia. But what has to happen, I think we probably do it the same way, is you have an end picture or a massive goal. But as long as you're taking, as you said, the micro actions per day to get there, when you get X amount of steps ahead, you realize that the big picture wasn't the big picture, but you got further ahead. You need to tweak it ever so slightly. So you're still always going forward, but the big picture always changes.
It's like, up until I was 30, I thought that, I actually thought that I used to do a lot of photographic work. I know I still do a lot of photographic work. And I was in a fortunate position that my brother's a photographer. And I wanted my work published, right? And I could never seem to know how to do it. I'd take the pictures looked great, but I couldn't get them published. And I was pretty good at what I did. I knew I had this massive clientele, people liked me, I was all this type of stuff. And I thought, one day, the salon door's going to open, right? And this guy's going to come in, and this light's going to shine down on me, and they go, we want to take you and make you this famous hairdresser. I really thought I was going to be discovered, a bit like the X Factor or something. And that never happened. And then when I got to about 30, that's when I was introduced to other parts of the industry, which I thought was like, whoa, way out there. Like, oh my God, it's like almost untouchable. And after being in that part of the industry for about a year, realizing, God, it's such a tiny jump up. It isn't even a big step. It's this tiny jump. You just have to do these little things, and you're there. And it wasn't like, oh my God, I have to change the world. It was like, oh, right, I just have to do this. That's how you do it. So it was like the stupid ram banging his head against a fence post, and all I had to do is move across here and push the fence. Push the gate open. It was like, oh, right, okay, got it. And then my job now, I feel, whenever I mentor people, is to show them where that gate is. There it is. Stop doing that. Just push it. That's where you're going to get your leverage, is where the clever place is, or where to put your energy, rather than expending your energy on things that aren't going to return anything to you.
You mentioned earlier, I listened, it was something like 98 quid a cut or a style or whatever you're going to call it.
Yeah.
So, and you said, I don't feel I need to put that up in price now. So sounds to me, and I could be wrong, that money is not a motivation for you. Make more and more and more. So what motivates you then?
Failure. The fear of failure.
Okay.
I think that's the biggest motivator. I think that in anything I've ever done, whether it be sport, whatever it's done, and I love proving people wrong. So I got chip on my shoulder, so Gareth, I've trained with you, and I'm a 56-year-old dude who goes into a CrossFit gym with 25-year-olds and believes I can still do them on a workout. I don't,
all that way. But
I'm going to kill myself to prove that I can keep up. I will never be the last in the class, but I may not be the first, but I'll never be the last. And I just want to compete with those guys. And I still think I can, but it's getting harder. But that's like, I play hockey, right? I played hockey for years, and I played at a decent level. I played at the European Cup level. I went 4 European Cups, and my last European Cup, I was 43. I was the oldest player in the tournament, right? Centre forward, 43. And, it was really hard. And I used to get in training, the boys used to say, come on, keep up. And I'm like, I'm trying, And I would work my ass off. And recently I gave up at 45, didn't play for like 9 years, went back to the veterans section. And one of the Cardiff teams was short. And they said, can you come play for the thirds or the fourths? The fourths, can you play for the fourths? I said, yeah, okay, I'll turn up for those. I turned up for the fourths. And it's the same guys I played with like 15 years ago. Some of them are in the fourths. And one of the guys he played left midfield and I played left wing or centre forward. He was in the same position. So I hooked up with him. It's like, rolling back the years, me and you, yeah. And he was running and he said, man, he said, it's not like it was though. I feel knackered. I can't train. It kills me. If I train twice a week now, it hurts. And I said, well, how old are you now then? He said, I'm 39 now. I said, dude, I was 43 playing in Europe with you guys and you were ripping me a new asshole because I couldn't keep up. And he said, I don't know how you did it. I just don't know how you did it, you know. But I think it's because I'd always trained. Your body gets used to it. And they say use it or lose it. And I think that's that competitiveness, you know, never wanted to be the last and never wanted to fail. And I think that's been the motivator of you know, what gets me up in the morning. Now, I've got a fantastic team. They are brilliant people. I just, you know, they're like my kids, right? I just love them. And I get more pleasure from their achievements than any of my own now. It's like, I've just been shortlisted for British Hairdresser of the Year for the 5th time. Never won it, right? And I'd love to win it. I would. I like, you know, because I want to win, right? But I've always been. I'm in the last 5, so it's a big deal. Yeah. But one of my team has just had her first piece of work published, and I'm more proud of that than mine getting this shortlisting. My shortlist is like massive. It's like the Oscars for hair in British hairdressing. But yeah, she's had her first publication. And I'm like, I'm so proud of her. And I'm like, even now, like you're talking about, this is like amazing she's done that. Because it was telling her, look, there's the gate. Just push this open, do this, and you're going to get what you want. And now she sees it. She's like so happy. And I'm like, yes, I've helped to do that, you know?
I still think if you do win that award, you can kind of, you know, run in and go, look what I've got.
Too right I am. It's going to be everywhere. But but the funny thing is that because this year it's usually at the Grosvenor House, there's usually 4,000 hairdressers there, right? All dressed up. You can imagine 4,000 hairdressers, right? How camp this room is. They have like Graham Norton, or they have like David Walliams or somebody presenting the awards. It's an amazing evening. And this year it's all online. Yeah. And some of the guys who I know have already won it. I've been on the phone to me saying, bloody great this is definitely your year. You don't want to win it. Because you're going to win it this year because there's no prize. They're going to send it to you in the post. There's no speeches. There's no big event. So, you know, and that's I said, yeah, typical. That'll be my year to win it now. I'll take it anyway. I'll make a big fuss of it myself. But, you know.
Can you not just ask them to say, look, delay me till next year? Because all you're going to be doing is sitting in your living room and going, yeah, well done. And then the Zoom call finishes and you turn it off and go, what's on television?
That's exactly. I said, how are they going to? I think that's the way they're going to. I think that's how they're going to do it. And I think usually Wales and the West is usually when the first categories to come up. And so if it does, and I'm off, I'm going, right, see ya. I will be, you know, putting the kettle on or doing something else. You know, I think again those t-shirts, you know, with the tuxedo t-shirts. Just for a laugh.
What happens is they're a couple of minutes ahead, and then all of a sudden they call you out, and you're the winner, and they zoom into the living room, and then you're not there on the sofa, and you go, sorry, the kettle had just boiled.
Well, what I'm worried about is that what if they got somebody who's going to knock on your door? There's your award.
Oh, yeah.
You know, like some sort of like a Saturday night takeaway thing, you know? So, no, it would be great if I got it. I'd love to win it. But, yeah, it's a different type of year. And this year, to enter those things, you have to create a collection of work. But this year, because nobody's been able to shoot a collection, you've been able to access your old portfolio and put that forward, stuff that you haven't published before. So that's what I've done, and I've got quite a strong portfolio. But so has everybody else. And in the 5 is 3 of the guys have won it multiple times before, and there's me and another girl. She was shortlisted last year. I wasn't, and neither of us have won it. But it's my 5th attempt. But you know, I'll be super chuffed if I get it, but it's not the end of the world, you know. Just that I am literally happy to be part of it. So, Bastards better give it to me. Yeah.
For 1 second, we almost believed.
Yeah. There's a guy who's a really famous hairdresser. He's got MBE now. There's a guy called Errol Douglas. And Errol has been shortlisted 21 consecutive times.
Wow.
Never won.
Oh,
Wow.
And I said, I was on a call, on like one of these calls for business in hairdressing in the first lockdown. And the editor of the magazine that runs it, she was part of the call as well. And they talked about him. And I said, it's okay. I know what it's like. I said, I'm like the Welsh Errol. I said, because I've been shortlisted 5 times, never won it. But he's done 21 times, never won it. And in this guy's MBE's won everything, but he cannot win this award.
so you're saying you're willing to give up 16 more occasions to be shortlisted for an MBE?
I'd have the MBE now, don't worry about it. Yeah, I would, over an MBE, I would take the award every time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, if anybody's listening, don't give me the MBE, just give me that bloody award.
A lot of people we talked to over the past were involved in sports and stuff like that, and a lot of the things that came through on a regular basis was mental toughness, and then we adapted into business. And one of the questions we started asking people is, when you're having the shit days, how do you put on the happy face for the staff? Because you're all there, you can see how enthusiastic you are about the staff, and it's all about them as well. But everyone has shit days and bad days. How do you put on that face to keep going when those bad days happen?
That's a brilliant, brilliant question. And for right now, it's the most pertinent thing, I think. It's kind of a hot potato, I think. If I'm honest, if I want to answer it honestly, I want to answer it honestly. I'm not going to give you some glibber answer. There's this mental health thing now, right? Everything. I see your face change straight away. You say mental, you go, be serious now. Mental health. They've got to take this serious. I think it's the biggest sort of bullshit I've ever heard, right? Because I think mental health it's a serious thing, right? I know people with serious mental health issues, and they are like society, on the peripheral of society. They are people who need a huge amount of help. They are people that kind of, need assistance on everything they do, kind of like, and anything they can have, they should be given. But because I'm a bit sad today, it's not fucking with my mental health. It's just I'm sad today.
Yeah.
It's like that, so I'm locked down on my own and it's bad for me. No, it isn't. It's not bad for your mental health. Go and do something. There's this gym in Liverpool, isn't it? And they're like, we're keeping open because we think about our clients' mental health. Well, with all due respect, mate, they can go to the park for a run. They can go chop some logs. They can get out. They can do press-ups in the house. Don't tell me it's the fitness. Now, I believe there's a camaraderie in it and there's a team thing and you miss that. And it's being around people because people love connection and that's what we are born to do, is a connection with other human beings. I get that. But don't tell me that it's your mental health when it only lasts you a day, 2 days, 3 days, and I think I'm going to go right off on that.
No, keep going.
I believe I believe in a law of attraction thing. I don't know if you do. I think, you think positive things happen. What you put out is what you get back.
Yep.
And I think that the more we say about, there's a couple of things, the more we talk about the mental health, everybody starts believing mental health. And they start thinking, I must have it then because I feel like shit today. Or nobody loves me. Or I do it for the likes. Or I do it for let's get off your phone then. If your social media's cause me grief, delete it. Get off it.
Absolutely.
If I was doing something, if I had a hammer, I was hitting my hand with it and it really hurts all the time, I'd just stop, wouldn't I? So why would I do the same with my social media? Why would I not? I don't understand why people who feel that way and they're that fragile, why they do it to themselves anyway. I don't know what acceptance they want and what they're kind of looking for that creates that kind of that problem, because they're creating their own problem at the end of the day. I think that, you can then focus on my mental health because it's now the buzzword or whatever. And I actually think it does a disservice for the people who really are suffering with mental health issues. And I think they are a small percentage. It's not as big as it is. And everybody's got a hard luck story. Everybody, I could tell you 1,000 if I wanted to, but it's made me who I am. As kind of like, I've learned from every one of them. I've kind of appreciated, and it's been shit. I've been divorced twice. I have an estranged son who's 20. And, I haven't spoken to him for 2 years, or he refuses to speak to me. I think about that every day. And it preoccupies me that I can't reach out to him, or I can't influence him in enough for him to see who I am and what I want for him.
Yeah.
And does it affect my mental health? No, it's like, it's a sadness and, shit. And I'll never stop loving him. My door will never be closed to him, ever. No matter what he does, I'll always love him, and that's what matters. But, I could, if I focused on it, then I would become sad. But I can't affect it. I can't change anything. I've done it. I write to him every week. I write to him. I tell him how I feel. I tell him all the things I'm doing now with. I tell him about his brother who he doesn't see. I tell him all about those things. And I end the letter saying, whenever you're ready to speak, I'm there for you, mate. I'll never turn my back on you. No matter what you think, or anybody else telling you, I'll never turn my back on you. And but that's all I can do at the time. So I can only do what I can do. And I think that anything else, you have to leave it. Can't do anything about that. And I think that's how I meet most challenges in business, in life, is that what's important now? Do I now have an emotional response, or can I get really pragmatic? And I'll spend, I'll give myself a minute to be emotional, or I'll kick the dog, or I'll slam a door, or smash a glass, get the frustration right now. But now what do I need to do to address that? How can I make this better? What do I need to do? What's important? I'm not going to spend time wasting my time on how to do that. And I think that's in sport. When you play in, you both play sport, right? And you rugby something, and somebody tosses this pass, and you're in at the line, and you drop the ball, and it's a gimme, and you've messed it up. If you don't shake that off, and you think, okay, and you say, right, next time I'm getting that, and you nail it the next time, then if you can't shake that off, then you're in trouble. And you look at fantastic sports players, like somebody like George North, for instance, right? Burst on the scene. He was untouchable. He was an incredible athlete. But he made one or two mistakes, and they became highlighted. And now I really believe, my hand on my heart, that he plays with so much fear that it's actually inhibiting his game.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And I think that he's still the same athlete. He's still the same guy. He's 27 or 28, wherever he is. He's still a young guy. Yeah, and he's like, but I think it's happened to Alex Cuthbert.
Yeah.
It broke him, and social media broke him. And I think that, they're making those mistakes in the glare of like thousands of hundreds of thousands of people, millions of people watching. It takes a very strong person to rub that down and go again, And I think that mental resilience.
Oh, you stole my word.
Resilience.
Yeah, I was just about to go in and say, I'll start by saying all the dog animal lovers, Ian doesn't really kick the LC. It's just a metaphor. Potentially he would.
I don't own a dog.
No, listening to all that, and that was absolutely superb. Thank you for being so bloody honest and upfront. I probably used the wrong word of I wrote down here mental toughness, and I do refer back to it in the sport and stuff of resilience. That when you have a shit day, and that's in any aspect of life, be it family, professional, or working life, or whatever. And if you are a business owner, you have to still put on a good happy face for people. So maybe we've done that wrong of mental toughness and more so it's resilience. When you've had a shit day in maybe your personal life and you with your son, as you say, you still have to go in and your team, in a nice way, probably don't give a shit. They still want you all bubbly and fiery. So you have to put on the not the fake
it's fake.
You have to
it's
be
fake.
there.
It's 100% fake.
But you have to be there, and there's days when that's going to be tough, I imagine, more so than in last year, but more days over the last 6 to 7 months than there has been. So maybe it's that question that needs to be redefined a bit.
Okay, I think if you're a business owner, then you have to show character. You have to. That's when you become a leader. Is when they will look to you. They are, listen, my team are probably more like the pressure they feel under is equal to what I'm under. I'm never going to let them know what the pressures I'm under. And I have to look and say, okay, I understand what you guys are going through. You've all got mortgages, you've all got business bills, you've all got finance, whatever. And I've got to, if I then show some sort of weakness or some sort of like vulnerability where it's like, oh, I'm really having a bad day because of this, that, and the other. Number one, it's going to make them get really fretful because they're like, oh, Christ, if he's panicking, it's like that don't panic moment. Like, okay, don't panic. What do I have to do? And sometimes, it's hard. You have to go in and say, like, you're having a shit day. And some, I would say 9 times out of 10, I'm honest with them. Say, look, I'm on a really shit day today. It's nothing to do with you guys. This is personal stuff. I might be a bit quieter for today, but I'm just going to be getting on with it. But, but if I'm not as what I normally am, I've just got stuff going on in the background, okay? You don't need to know about it, but I've got stuff in the background. It's not going to affect you. It's not going to this. I make sure it doesn't. But stuff I'm going to need to deal with. I'm going to be busy today dealing with that. And I think that resilience, I think, is sport and growing up in we went out to play with our friends, right? I mean, you go out and play tag or you go play football or rugby or, just messing around with your mates. And, you would get the piss ripped out of you for doing something stupid, and they wouldn't. And I think we learned that as kids. I don't think kids have that interaction anymore. And there's so much PC about now that they can't say the things that they want to say. And in sport, I've been in a cup final and I've missed literally. I've gone round the keeper. I can see it now. I went round the keeper. He came out sliding out in all his slow motion, like this little flick inside, out up to the goal. I run up. There was no one within 30 yards of me. Just the keeper sliding out and round him, went up the goals, and I went fire us into the net just to make a point. I missed. Absolutely missed from like 2 yards. I was like, I just missed that. And it's impossible to miss it. And I remember, like, and then jogging back to reset. And one of the boys came over to me and he tapped me on the backside, and he said, "You're going to have to talk me through that later." I was like, we won the match. I scored afterwards, but I was like, we won the match, and I was like, it was the most embarrassing moment ever on a pitch. And to make a big thing of like, I'm going to thrash it into the net and like, I'm pretty wide from 2 yards. No one could miss like that. It would be I could have blown it over the line or something, but made it, But I think those resilience, like, because I'm used to boys then taking the piss and having you laugh it off and think, oh yeah, what an idiot! Oh my god! But it lives with me now, and I'm like, oh god, how did I miss that? You idiot! But it's like you learn from those things. You learn how to take that criticism. You learn how to take that stuff and that direction, not take it personally. That's the hardest thing, is not take it personally and not be too hard on yourself. And I think you could know that you're in business, and I bet you are your biggest own critics. No one will criticize you harder than you criticize yourselves.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, 100%.
So once you understand that, I think that no one's going to be harder than me. Mm. And And I think you have to be responsible for that. You have to be responsible for those things. And when I was 30, when it all changed to me, I read a book, and I swear by this book, and it changed everything for me. And I've read hundreds of books since, but there's one book that changed everything. It was by a woman called Susan Jeffers, and it's called Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway. And like in that book, there's a chapter, and it says that you're in charge of your own emotions. No matter what somebody does to you, what they say to you, or it's their fault, or this, that, and the other, you can play the blame game all you want. But it's up to you how you choose to react. Yeah. She makes an example about death. And she says, in some cultures, they celebrate death. They get dressed up, they have the party, and everybody's happy. And then in some cultures, you have this somber, sad. Well, it's the same thing. Death is death. I'm not saying it's this final thing, but in some cultures, they rejoice it, and they have a party, and everybody's happy for that person moving on to the next realm.
Celebrating life, isn't it?
Yeah, and then some people, you like in this country, it's like you dress in black.
I don't. See, that's why I don't dress in black. Okay. I never go to a funeral dressed in black. I always wear a yellow tie.
Do you?
Yeah. So my dad's always done.
I hope I don't see that soon. So not of mine, but it's like, yeah.
No, I kind of, it's about celebrating life for me, and I know it kind of is kind of everyone in black, but I wear a navy suit and a yellow tie.
And I think now, if you look at it, there's a lot of people who especially die too soon. Their families will ask you, please don't wear black. Please wear something colourful. Or
I do all that. That's dress.
And I think that would be great, because I think that it's a choice of how you react to anything. Why somebody finds something offensive that somebody finds funny. Yeah. It's all subjective, and it's all seen through the prism of what you've learned, previously, and you have to deconstruct that really to understand what is offensive and what is mental health, what is PC, what is where do these things come from. And I think sometimes it's just all a bit mad. It's common sense.
I think sometimes taking responsibility, isn't it? I think kind of like we're too easy to blame people and blame other people, and just kind of take responsibility. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Sometimes it is your fault. Just get on with it. Don't blame other people.
And there's also a huge value in standing up in any business and saying, "Sorry, guys, I got it wrong.
I got it wrong.
I got this wrong."
I love all the stuff you said there, because I can associate everything through sport, because it's exactly as you said. Going back from when you were a young age, I'm a big believer in. I do believe in a way that using sport does. I'll use it in my example. Instead of having any grey in my world that I might have a fuzzy head and be unsure, and I'll use that as a mental health thing, for lack of a better phrase. The sport thing, the exercise, makes it black and white, so I can see things clearer. But I do get it growing up, taking part in sport, more so as team sports. You build up friendships, camaraderie, you build up a responsibility. You're part of a team, you're a cog in an important team in that. If you're not the most important, because in our sport that I played for many years, Gaelic football, there's 15 of us. I am one of 15. I'm not the most important. If there's only me on the pitch, I can't play against 15. But if there's only 14 of us and I'm not there, there could be an issue or something like that. So you are an important cog, and you develop that. People will take the mickey. When you've done wrong, you're going to get an absolute arse kicking of verbal abuse, which in the past was just banter, but now it's
it.
But you had to take it, and it made you a bit tougher and more resilient. Yeah. And I think the people that have been involved in sports teams probably have that layer of maybe more toughness, and that's probably the wrong thing to say if you're a business owner, because you've dealt with that in the past. And as time goes on in the future, then you can learn from it. You learn from your mistakes. You try and not make those mistakes in the past. And years down the line, when you meet up with these people again, it is comical, because everyone takes the piss out of you again for doing that. And that's where your friendship develops. So it's a thing.
And that's the key, because in a team sport, especially, or any team environment, or an environment where you're dealing with lots of other people doing the same sport as yourself, you find out different characters. You find the quiet people. You find the super confident people. And you think, oh my God, where did they get that confidence from? And then you find the really shy people. Then you find the people who are like grafters. You've got to have all those things. And I think, in any team, and if you do it when you're young, you learn how to deal with those people. Yeah. So in business, you'll meet that person who's like a bit like, you know, I don't know, like who's just like very linear thinking. And I've met them before. They were out centre half. He played like that. He responds to this. Or you meet the guy who's really confident, and actually when you get to know them, they just jelly inside, but it's a big bravado thing, you know. And you can just read people, I think. And there's more you're around people, and the more you're around different types of people, you learn to deal with them better. And I think that's where team sport comes into it. And you look at Alex Ferguson or something as a manager, as a coach, like his last season winning the Premier League with the team he had. I mean, no one else would have got out of that team what he did. It was like impossible. They were all on their last legs. And he just summoned them to because he had them believing that they could. He believed in them, and they set themselves a mission of doing it. But when they all believed in it, they were almost like an unstoppable force. They got results where they really shouldn't have, you know. And I think any leader, any coach, that's what it's about. If you can instill that belief, that picture, that vision in your teams, then that's how you achieve, and that's how you achieve greatness, actually. And you know, you look at Matt Fraser, like on CrossFit, winning the weekend. It's adaptiveness. I don't know if you saw it. They did this trail run, 5 miles. Yeah. It was a 3 mile. 3 mile.
Oh yeah, it was a 5K trail run.
So he gets to the end, runs. He has a sprint finish with Medeiros, and he crosses over, and Dave Castro says, yeah, you have to do it in reverse. And he said, yeah, Dave. And he said, no, I'm serious. You have to do it in reverse. And they just took off, and off he went.
You have to pick yourself back up to peak.
And he went off, and he won it the second time. But if you look at the reaction of the two girls came over the line, who were like confused, and they kind of went out and did it. And they were still sort of, okay. And then Catherine Devastator came in, and they said, go round. She said, okay. And she just went, like, she's giving no time to think about it. Okay, I'll just do it again. But the other girls are like, what? We're doing it again? Oh my God, this is really unfair. Or they might have been having that internal dialogue, which then took up a lot of their mental energy, and then slowed them down. And she caught him, she won.
Yeah,
you know?
And that's mindset, isn't it?
It's a mindset.
Because her coach, Ben Bergeron, I've talked about him before on this, where he talks about controlling the controllable.
Yeah.
And she in her head,
absolutely.
She's come through that line. I can't control this. I've got to do it. So just go.
And that's the difference.
And that's the difference. Because he says this big thing. He changed her mindset from when you turn up to the gym and it's freezing cold, and normally you'd walk in and you'd be like, oh, it's freezing cold today. You've got to think of something positive to say, otherwise get out of my gym.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And it's kind of changing that mindset. I talk about it all the time, don't I, Shane? Control the control.
Have you ever read, there's a book by a guy called Lou Holtz. Lou Holtz was the Notre Dame coach he was the most successful collegiate coach in America. He's on a lot of TV things, and he was in the film Blindside. He was one of the coaches on that. Right. And Notre Dame, and he says he has a do-right policy with his teams. And it's like, you know, you have to do the right thing at the right time, and, you know, what's good for the team. And before his one of the Orange Bowls, where they play off, it's like the college playoffs.
Yeah,
it's three of the team are broken curfew, so he had no choice, but he dropped them from the team, and they were like the quarterback. It was like the tight end, and he just got rid of them and said, "That's it. You know, you broke curfew. You're out." The next training session, he said it was a disaster. He said, and everybody's watching. These guys got no chance of beating, you know, Mississippi or something in the final. And he knew it was bad, so he took them all to the gym. He sat them down and he said, "Right, listen, we've had a shit day's training, but I want you all to now give me a reason why we can win the next game." And they said, well, the defensive guys said, well, we've got the best defense in the league, and we're all here, you know, so we're not going to let in many points, no matter what happens. The defensive line is here. And they started picking up all the positives. He said the next day in training, they were ripping up trees. He said they were on it. And he knew, he said, from that day, he said they would win. And they went into the final, and they won by a record margin. You know, and it's like, it's just like changing your mindset. And like, what he said, he calls it win philosophy. What's important now? So, you know, I don't know, somebody sort of drives a car through your business, and they're like, okay, what's important now? Who's safe? who was everything injured? It was like, now what do I need to deal with? How to, it's doing that thing in order rather than, oh my God, my business, what's happening? You know, the front, some idiot's driven to it. You know, that doesn't mean anything. It's happened. There it is. There's a car in your office. You know, what's important now? How do you deal with it? And I think that mindset, and the same thing from the feel of fear thing was like, same thing is how you adopt anything you're challenged with, you know. And Ben Bergeron, he's like, yeah, he's just brilliant in his mindset stuff.
His mindset stuff is brilliant.
Yeah. I suppose you have to be able to just, isn't it? Is it compartmentalize things? As you say, if somebody drives into your shop or something like that, it's the worst thing in the world. However, you know, if you start breaking it down, I wasn't there. I'm okay. Is there anyone else that's injured? No. How, you know, am I still fit and healthy? And all of these things. And then what do I need to do now? And then you get it fixed. Your issue gets resolved rather than moping around worrying about it. Yeah,
as you know, like, you know, we've been vandalised. The salon's been vandalised. It's been, you know, 3 o'clock in the morning. The alarm's going off. You go down there. The door's been kicked in. Somebody's put something through your window. They've tried to. They've gone and stolen. They've caused damage. And I'll go in. And I'm like, okay. So I need to phone insurance. I need to do this. And it's like a tedious thing. But I'm not like spending any time thinking, oh, why me? Why are they doing this to me? Oh my God! Like, it's happened to you. There's nothing you can do about it. What you're going to do? What you do next is the most important thing. Yeah. So that's the kind of mindset I get from it, Shane. You know.
Let's make it fun and interesting now. Give us a couple of highs and lows over the years, and if you're allowed to tell any sort of funny story that won't incriminate you or get you sued.
I can incriminate other people, I think, but not myself. There's highs and lows. I think I've had loads of highs. They're really difficult. Actually, it probably. Working with the companies I'm working with now and the people I work with now, I'm working with several really, really phenomenal people. One's an Irish guy, David Murray. He's just one of the best hairdressers I've ever met in my life. And one of the best hairdressers I've ever met is a guy called Gianni Scamacci. He mentored me for 3 years. That was about 4 or 5 years ago. I learned more then. I'm so enthusiastic now because of the things I learned from him as a hairdresser and as I work on big shows, so I might be do a show for 1,000, 2,000 people. And he taught me how to do that. And we went to Taiwan and I did a show in Taiwan and he let me run it myself. He said, look, it's your turn. You run it. And like, that was a high because it was like, he didn't tell me about it. He just, on the morning of the show, he said, right, today's your gig. I'm going. I'll see you this evening. All yours. We had 30 models. We had like 10, 12 staff running around. We had wardrobe, makeup, lighting, music. I did the whole thing. And that was like one of my proudest moments to do that because it was, I just didn't expect it. And I didn't realize what he'd been doing beforehand, which was prepare me for it. So that was it. The lows was, I could tell you what it was. It was 2006. And in one night, it was a Thursday night, I had a team of 18 at the time, and 9 of my team on that night came into my office and all handed their notice in one night. Oh. 50% of my business.
Wow.
Like, literally, it was that was low. I remember that was the most angry I've ever been. Because I knew there was stuff going on in the background. Yeah. And I was angry with myself because I didn't follow my gut instinct and I didn't listen to what my intuition was telling me. And I trusted when I shouldn't have. And I remember going down the stairs down to the office, and the stairs went straight into the salon. And I came down the stairs and I stood on the middle of the steps on a landing and I just shouted down the salon, is there anybody else? And the thing was, everybody knew that they were leaving bar me. So that was the lowest moment. But we came back and and that taught me again resilience. I hired 2 people. Like that was a Friday. I had 2 people next day. 2 CVs came in that morning. 2 people built me and said, "Can you start now?" Literally, we need you. And we started then and started to rebuild from there, and and just manage the clients and stuff like that. That was like, even now I think, oh ouch, that really hurt. And so that was a tough one.
But I think that's the first time we've ever laughed at a low point with somebody.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, that was it. And there's funny moments. Oh my God, it was. No, I can't say that. No, there was when I was working with this guy Gianni was like, I always said about him, he spoke quietly, but he carried a big stick. He was a disciplinarian, a fantastic guy, like an amazing character. And we were in Australia working there, and we did a show, and he said he had this strict policy of like, you could not fraternize with the team or with the models. You just weren't allowed. You know, that was it. I just recently got divorced, and it was like, oh, this is like, I'm in Australia, you know. And it was, there was a model there where I just got on with, you know, it was like fantastic. And it was clear there was a bit of chemistry going on there. And I thought, oh God, if he finds out anything happens here, I'm done. You know, like I'm out. I'd say goodbye to the job. So I didn't do anything. And then I'd arranged, after the job was supposed to stay in Australia for 3 more days before I travelled home. So I stayed there for 3 days, and I'd arranged to meet the model in the 3 days that I wasn't working. So I spent 3 days with this girl. And about a year later, I came back, and I was talking to Gianni, and he had announced that he was leaving the company we both worked for. And I said, I got to come clean with you. And I've got to tell you that, you know, that I actually went up remember that model? Yeah. I said, well, I actually ended up with her for 3 days. It was like amazing. You know, I spent all this time in Manly and just outside Sydney with her. And he said, oh, right. And he said, why are you telling me? I said, well, you said I couldn't have been. Oh, he said, I didn't mean anything by that. He said, you didn't take any notice of that, did you? What? It wasn't even a thing. He just making sure, don't pay any attention. Couldn't believe he did it to me. I was like trying to be Mr. Good Boy, you know, trying to send me like a kipper. Yeah, didn't mean anything about that.
That's brilliant. Great. So what's next then for Ian?
Well, actually, there's a few things. I'm working on a project with a friend of mine called Paul Watts, and he's got a big. He's the country's second biggest YouTube hairdresser. He's a fantastic guy. He's like invigorated my career because we work together at the same brand. We both work for Joico in Europe, and so. He's a new boy. We just hit it off immediately. But we've been doing our own things, and we're off to America opening next year, and we've got loads of contacts there. And we film it in America with some of the biggest artists in America. Wow. And we've now just got a production company who are interested in the concept that we're putting forward for it, who may want to take it and use it. We're in the early stages with Channel 4. So we've gone through all this development stuff. We've gone through the first 2 stages, and now we're down to the final to get the yay or nay. But at the moment, there's no finances because nobody's spending any money on new productions. Yeah. They don't know whether you can travel or not. But we've decided anyway, even if we don't get the production on, but we're going to do it for his YouTube channel anyway, because it's a big platform. And next year should be a blast, really, with that. And who knows where that can lead. We've got some good connections within the media. And we seem to hit it off. And when we're on camera, we have a good chemistry on camera. There's another guy, that's David Murray, you know, he might become the third wheel because he's quite straight, David. And we need a straight guy, I think. So, and he's phenomenal at what he does. He's Irish hairdresser 3 times. He's a Hall of Famer. He's like amazing. He travels the world. I steal more of his ideas than anybody else's. You know, like I used to give him credit. I used to learn a technique from David and say, whenever I taught it, this is David Murray done this. Now I don't give him any credit whatsoever. Just steal it. I'm blatant. David, sorry, I'm not telling him. Just do it. So, but he's a good guy. But he's like, we've got this good thing going on at the moment, and then hopefully. The biggest thing, if I'm honest, is that I'm hoping that I'm going to set the salon up after we get out all this. I'm going to turn it into a bit of a cooperative. Yeah. And I'm going to offer all of the team shares in the business.
Okay.
Nice.
Yeah.
So they become shareholders and they can assume shares over time. I'm 56 now, so I'd like to say another 7-8 years that eventually they'll buy me out completely.
Like a management buyout in the future.
And they'll buy me out and do it reasonably, not taking the piss or anything.
Yeah.
And that becomes a bit of a legacy for me then, for them to take it on.
Yeah.
They're great people, and I'd love them to have the opportunity I never had at that age. So that's my biggest dream, is that they take it over and become, like they have the opportunities I've had. Yeah. That's all I wish for them, really. So that's the next thing.
It's superb. I love it. Watch this space.
I hope so.
Ian, thanks for taking the time to chat to us today. I really love the idea that you offer an experience, not just a haircut. Head over to the website, www.sanfp.co.uk, to learn more about us and our journey. That's it for this episode. Next, we're talking to award-winning digital agency founder and CEO of Celesti, Ollie Blackmore. You can hear that wherever you get your podcasts. Plus, don't forget to click subscribe to get all the latest episodes as soon as they arrive. Don't forget to listen to our new Chats to Bar series on Tuesdays for a short insight into business, money, finance, aspirations, dreams, and planning. Also, if you're enjoying this series, please do leave us some feedback with a quick review, as it helps us grow and ensure we are giving our audience the best experience. Until next time, thanks very much for listening.